And joining me now in studio is Mr. Don Posh from INDIGO. INDIGO is a organization that empowers people living with the disabilities to thrive independently. INDIGO is the go-to to connect you with new opportunities, possibilities, and new realities. Good morning, Don.
Good morning, Mark.
How are you?
I'm doing great. It's beautiful
Can you
outside.
believe this weather? I mean, we need rain really, really bad,
Yeah.
but to have 2 weeks or more now of very little rain and lots of sunshine and very fair type of conditions, it's pretty nice.
And heavy mosquitoes.
Yeah.
I think that was just the heavy
Oh,
snowfall that we got
oh
made
yeah.
places wet that
Yep.
weren't wet for decades.
Yep.
And
So
apparently they could be dormant for a long
three
time.
3 years those eggs can survive without anything. And it's like, wow.
Well, we're living it now.
Yeah.
So after complaining about the snow and shoveling, now we're complaining about the heat and the mosquitoes, or it's not. There's nothing perfect. There never will be. So
Right.
you just live with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's happening in your world? We're going to be talking about ramps, stair lifts, and platform lifts. Now, stair lifts, on TV, you
Well, I'm not
see
ready
these.
to go there yet,
What?
though, Mark.
Oh my goodness!
See how you are. You
You
try to
told me.
lead me into the way
Well,
you want to go.
it's on the paper right here. This is what you said. I just. All right. What do you got? You
I
take
want
the
to get
show.
through the announcements, so I make sure that I get the announcements out there. And you did mention, I heard it previously that you did announce that we're going to talk about our ADA celebration.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's the Americans with Disabilities Act, and it's going to be 33 years since that was signed into law. We were actually established 2 years before that. So we've been doing this a long, long time. And I've said this before. The same year that we were established, Fishing Has No Boundaries was established as
Okay.
well.
Yeah.
So we're gonna on Wednesday, July 26th, we'll be hosting that 33rd anniversary celebration. This will be an empowering event with service providers, balloon artists, and fun activities for adults and children. This event is open to the public. There will be no admission fee, but folks are encouraged to bring cash to purchase raffle tickets for a fun filled, or not a fun filled, but for fun filled gift baskets. This year, we are raising money to help Indigo support its mission of empowering individuals with disabilities. This is a wonderful opportunity to show your support for people with disabilities in the community. We're seeking sponsors and support from local businesses and organizations. If you decide to make a tax deductible donation or donate items to our raffle, it'll make our event stronger and your organization more visible in our community. All donors will be advertised at the event. Sponsors who donate $100 or more will be welcome to have a free display table. And this will be happening at Northwood Technical College,
Okay.
600 North 21st Street in Superior, Wednesday, July 26th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And we will be uh, posting this information on our Facebook at
Okay.
Indigo. And Mark has
We'll
mentioned he
share it.
will share that as
Yeah.
well on the WOJB Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
so
Now, where do you want to talk about? I'll let
well, I'm
you.
not okay. You're gonna let me lead. Cool,
You are the
cool.
leader.
Oh, I've been doing this longer
Yeah.
than you. You know that?
Yeah.
I guess I got some age on you that way.
Yeah.
All right. So, something really cool coming up is the Grandpa and Lucy. This is a story about love and dementia. And let's see about the show. Inspired by the children's book written by Edie Weinstein, Grandpa and Lucy, a story about love and dementia helps kids and families strengthen intergenerational relationships with older relatives who
Mm,
may be struggling with Alzheimer's or other forms of dementia. There will be a talk back following the performance. And this is sponsored by the ADRC of Sawyer County. And it will be occurring at the Hayward Wesleyan Church,
okay.
June 18th, 2023 at 6 p.m. And this is a non-denominational thing.
Yeah.
There's no fee.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with this is free and open to the public.
Yeah.
So that is going to be occurring there. And we're going to also have the play in Price County at the Phillips Elementary Gymnasium, June 16th at 6 p.m.
Okay.
So those the plays are really a good way for people to form an understanding of dementia
Yeah.
because they take it into a family situation and you're watching this occur.
Yeah.
And instead of somebody talking about it, you're seeing it visually and getting an opinion of your own based on what you're seeing. and
Yeah.
and the talks that follow, there's been some other plays that have been done, steering into the skid about a elderly gentleman getting to the point where it's time to take his keys away
Right.
because he's becoming a danger to himself and others. There's fortune cookies, a woman that was scared because her friends were becoming diagnosed with dementia, and she was using sticky notes to put all these ideas on her so she wouldn't forget. She was trying to
Oh,
train herself
yeah.
to not get dementia. And it was interesting how her interactions with her kids were. And there was another one in the garden where it's more kind of like a general family situation where you have a family with two brothers, one sister. One of them lives farther away. One of them's doing most of the care. One of them feels that this is what we should do with dad. This one feels, no, I want him to stay home.
Hmm.
And the interactions of how everybody perceives the disease. And I think that if anybody ever has a chance to see these, they're entertaining as well as eye-opening.
Yeah. Well, role playing really helps, like you said, instead of sitting there for a lecture, these are kind of role plays and letting people know, excuse me, that that's the situation. Hey, that's what I can identify with this because they're seeing it happen in front of them in a dramatic sort of way. But these are just scenarios that say, hey, this is how you work with this. This is how younger people in the family can respond to these dementia issues that maybe their older family members are experiencing, so people don't feel alone in this situation. Because I know a lot of people like myself. I have an older parent that, again, my sister in Minneapolis is watching over, and we're not at that point yet of taking the keys away, but that, topic has come up, and it's like, I sometimes you just feel like I'm all alone in this situation, and how can I help my relative in the cities, help my siblings with support? And I don't know, is that kind of what you think is happening?
Yeah, well, you got that distance factor,
Yeah,
and that was similar to myself with my dad being 200 miles away.
yeah,
I'm the only one,
yeah,
and I thought I was doing a better job than I was. And I mentioned handling the list. You
yeah,
know, these are the things I have to do. I have X amount of time to get them done, and then I have to go to work. So I got to get back home,
sure,
and I knock everything off the list, but I didn't pay attention to him as much because he'd smile and say, "Well, we got this done, we got that done," and I'd be happy because I'm knocking the stuff off
right,
the list, and
yeah,
but not really getting into that time where you're just observing
yeah,
and understanding, well, is it that time that he should quit being on his own or not? And I think it went a little farther, because as mentioning the vehicle, he hit a vehicle in the hospital parking lot.
Mm,
Now, it was only going probably, what, 8 or 10 miles an hour, but it still did occur. So
right.
that was that. Luckily, that's where it was, and luckily nobody was hurt.
Right.
But that started the ball rolling
Yeah.
and made the change and made me realize that there was a little bit more to this than I thought.
Yeah. It's
Because
really nice that when your elderly parents realize, oh my goodness, that could have been a child or a person that I backed into.
hmm
And in my situation, again, I have an elderly person in our home who backed into another car at Quick Trip, and he drove away not knowing he hit somebody. And it wasn't major damage, but it was a 2003 Cadillac. But he drove away. So it was considered a hit and run. And then when the police show up at your door saying, hey, we got an issue here, we talked to him and said, this could have been a person or a child, and you drove away and didn't know you hit somebody. And thankfully, he realized that, yes, I think I just need to be done, and handed the keys in. So, but some parents, they have these little accidents, only involving them, and they think nothing about it. And we say, no, no, this is becoming an issue, and you struggle with how do you, in a sense, forcefully remove the keys. This is just getting too dangerous. My one of my family members drives around with another family member, and they realized how fast they're driving at their age because they're in a hurry and they brake quickly. When you come to a stop sign, you're supposed to gradually stop. They wait till the last few feet and then they, slam on the brakes, and it's like, oh my goodness, it's just crazy. So, what do you do in those situations? How do you talk to that elderly parent to say this is dangerous and we're really concerned about it?
that is that's a difficult one. It really is.
Yeah.
There's no easy way to do that. Every individual has a different attitude.
Yep.
Pride comes
Yeah.
into it, and
Yeah.
pride is a problem with a lot of things.
Losing your independence,
Yes.
ability to get around. The mobility issue is huge, and we're going to be talking about some of that right now. But even I experienced that personally. I just had, a foot injury, and my mobility was in question for a couple of years,
I
and that
I
was a
remember
very
that.
serious
I was
thing.
worried about you there, and it's good to see that you did the steps to recover.
Yeah, got the right surgery done. I'm doing very well. Oh my goodness, I can walk anywhere and everywhere. I can't do, marathons or, 5K walks, but the everyday things that I was so used to doing. And as I get older, I know I'm going to have these issues maybe throughout my life, but I'm okay with it. I know how to deal with it. I know now how to be mobile. And because of the ADA rules that I was able to research and figure things out, I was able to make changes with some local stores about their accessibility in their aisleways and stuff. And you and I talked about that. And the
hmm
store made some changes that was really, really cool to
And
see.
that's good to see. Advocacy.
Yeah.
People need to be you are your best advocate.
Yeah.
And when you're going to the doctor's office, when you're if you're not finding the accessibility there at a business, you can let that business owner know of that.
A lot of times they don't even know it's an issue.
Right.
They think about the doorway and how you can get into the door. But once you're in the door, how do these aisleways accommodate a wheelchair or crutches or any other sort of mobility assistance? We're just letting people know that this is something that they should be aware of. So, okay, can we move on to
Yeah,
ramps
let's
and
go.
now?
I know we tend to wander. We
Yeah.
always do because we
So,
have a lot of personal experience in these
yeah,
situations.
right.
But ramps, there's you may find that you do have this condition that requires you to use a wheelchair, be a walker, and find that getting in or out of your home becomes more difficult, and a
Yeah.
ramp is oftentimes the way to do it. But all homes are designed differently.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that the ADA recommends is for every foot of rise, which is so a stair is generally 7 inches. So let's just say you're going up 2 stairs. That means your ramp has to be 14 feet. So it's 1 foot per 1 inch of rise.
Wow.
Because that's a safety thing. It looks like, oh, that's really gradual. And if you're going up at a 45-degree angle and you're pushing somebody up somebody's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
And that's why they made those recommendations. So what if you got 5 steps? That's almost 60 inches. So you have a 56-foot ramp.
Wow. Yeah.
But there are other ways to deal with that.
Yeah.
There
And like you said,
are
that is a gradual rise, but you think about people who are in a manually operated wheelchair and they're trying to roll themselves up a ramp. You don't want the degree of that ramp to be too high to make it in immobility for them to get up that ramp by themselves,
or if they missed a stroke, will they go backwards and hurt themselves? Same
Right.
thing if somebody's pushing someone. You're
Mm-hmm.
pushing somebody up this ramp, and there's resting places that are required after so
Oh,
many feet as well.
yep. And which usually then provides a switchback. Then you can go up the other
Yes,
side that way too.
but
So
can you have six? Does your home allow for 60 foot of
yeah,
ramp?
do you have the space? Yeah.
Do you have the space? What if you're in town? So there's other ways of doing this. There's platform lifts that work outside,
Mm.
and it's kind of like if you see the people that use those forklifts where they have the lift at Menards. Maybe you've gone in there and they have like a little cage, and you use the forklift and you can pick items off of the higher shelves. Well, it works in that sort of a form.
Okay.
That it like an outdoor elevator.
Mm-hmm.
So they have those, and people don't realize that some of these things exist. The other thing with ramps too, are they wood? Which materials are you going to use? I've seen some that work out really nice that are earthen, made
Oh,
landscaped, which means it's forever.
right.
And the
Wow.
maintenance on something like that is non-existent,
Mm-hmm.
because once you put in something, a friend of mine put in Z-brick, which they're interlocking,
Mm-hmm.
and he's able to unload his wheelchair onto this platform and run right up that, because it's not that steep, and they planted flowers, and it looks like
Yeah.
part of the house instead
Sure.
of the one thing that he has been on the governor's council for physical disabilities, and they've been lobbying for no step entrances and new buildings, because once the ramp's there, it's almost like a target for people that have nefarious attitudes, that do bad things, and say, well, this person will not be able to defend themselves because they're in a
Mm.
wheelchair.
Yeah.
And they don't like that target out there. There's also aluminum ramps. Now
Mm-hmm.
with the price of lumber,
Yeah.
aluminum ramps are actually less costly.
I
And
never thought about that. I always thought would be the cheapest way to go, but you're right with lumber prices. That's
they went through the roof,
yeah.
and the companies that sell them, they oftentimes install them as well. The one thing that's generally hard with ramps is financing.
Yeah.
It's it's different for everybody because we all have different means and different
Mm-hmm.
financial situations. So it seems like if you're just above a certain amount, you really don't get any help with it. But there are some grants and low int- low interest loans that can be obtained. I don't want to go too far into details with that, because like I said,
It's all
everybody's situation is
individual.
going to be different,
Yeah.
and we plus it's different for all the different counties. I deal with 4 different counties up here, and who's doing what is different in every county.
Yep.
So mentioning, well, you could go to these people or those people just doesn't help. So it'd be better to contact Indigo and make an appointment. And it doesn't cost anything to have somebody
Yeah.
come out and take a look and make some recommendations, and then where you can move from there. The other thing that they have with lifts is a stair lift, and they used to advertise them a little bit more on TV. I haven't seen them as much
No, I haven't seen
before.
them lately, but I know they've been out there, and it seems like one of those commercials that, hey, wait, there's more. You can order this and get more of this, and it's interesting though, because some of our older houses, the stairwells are pretty narrow, and how does those types of things fit in a stairwell so that if you have an able-bodied person to get up the stairs along with that stair lift, I don't know. That's tricky again. Everybody's situation is different, but
Right. That's why you got to kind of assess the situation before you just jump in and say, we're going to build a ramp.
yeah,
It's good to have somebody that has a little bit of knowledge and background in it to take a look at it and give you some options so that you
hmm
can do what you feel is best for the home that you're residing in. The stair lifts are really cool, and they you sit in a little seat
yep,
and it takes you up to the next level. And I looked at a split level home, which that was impossible because you enter in this midsection of the
yep. At a
house,
landing, yep.
and then you got to go up or down, and there were stairs going to that entrance.
Oh
So
wow,
and that was one, and all of the entrances on the exterior of the home were 6 feet
mm,
above the ground level. So
yeah,
that's where a platform lift would be recommended, because you're looking at, you know, 60, 70 feet of ramp, and it's just kind of bigger than your own house.
yeah,
So, and they're not as expensive as maybe building the ramp to get a lift. If you were looking at paying for the materials and construction of a 60-foot ramp and compared it to the installation of a lift, which will work much easier, that may be the solution for where you're at
yeah,
that time.
yep,
Another thing that we should probably quickly mention, because it's summer and fishing's really, really
mm,
important to most of us, or just to ride out on the boat, is there's portable ramps. So
okay,
is there I would suggest to contact Fishing Has No Boundaries, because they've
yeah.
had so much experience in this
Experience, and
area.
they're well equipped for it. Yep,
Yeah, yeah, it's a way to maybe take somebody that maybe a loved one that hasn't been out on the pontoon for a long time. How can we possibly do that and give that person the opportunity to enjoy something with the rest of the family that they
yeah,
haven't done for a long time?
mm-hmm.
I with my own restrictions, physical restrictions, and my fishing partner, we decided to get a modified V boat, which is kind of like a John boat. So when you step in, it's real easy to get in. It's just one step off the shore,
Okay,
where you're not climbing over the side of a
yeah,
deep V.
right,
And we put on armrests so that when we cast lures a lot, so you get a lot of stress in your neck and in your arms. And if you could rest those arms while you're reeling in between the casts, it gives the ability to fish longer
yeah,
and enjoy the,
right,
if the pain's not nagging at you when you're fishing, it kind of makes it a lot more enjoyable.
yeah,
So there's a lot of little adaptations that can make some of the things you do a lot more fun.
yeah, yeah. That's very cool. Yeah, Fishing Has No Boundaries is a great organization, and I know they've held a lot of events that we've talked about here in WOJB. And so again, it's not just the events that they sponsor, but they're there between these events and or have regular business hours, and there, people can contact. I suppose you don't have the phone number for them,
I
do
don't
you?
have their phone number on
I
hand,
could
but
look
they
it up.
are you look that up, and maybe I could entertain everybody with something else here. Coming up, let's see what we got here. There's a mental health chat sponsored by NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness.
Hmm.
And let's see, this mental health chat is a program developed by NAMI, Fox Valley, and is a mental health awareness presentation given to elementary age students. NAMI Wisconsin has been given permission to expand the program statewide. The target population is fourth graders, third to fifth, and the presentation is given by someone living with a mental illness or someone who has a family member with a mental illness. The
Hmm.
presentation is 30 to 35 minutes with a curriculum followed up for teachers provided. The presentation is given in a fun, caring way, educate elementary students about mental illness and NAMI, help elementary students understand that getting medical help for mental illness is a good and similar to getting medical help for broken arm or the flu. Educate elementary students that 1 in 5 people live with a mental illness.
Hmm.
Provide positive coping skills for dealing with strong emotions. Teach students how to help themselves or a friend identify an adult they can talk to if feeling sad, depressed, or anxious. The presentation includes a description of mental illness and why it's hard to understand and tell people about NAMI, reading of a book and about feelings and mood, whiteboard presentation on mental illness, getting help, 1 in 5 using stick figure drawings, a relaxation exercise using a go noodle. I'm not sure what that is, but they have one. And follow up curriculum for teachers to do a drawing and make a card of who they can talk to in the school or home about their feelings. And this is coming up July 21st at Iron River Elementary School from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Lunch and snacks are provided free of charge.
Hmm.
So that's going to be happening in our area. The deadline to register is June 9th. So it's coming up.
Well, that's
And we'll
tomorrow.
post that one too.
Tomorrow.
We're going to post that one too,
Sure.
so that people could get that information as well. It's hard to read because there's a lot to it, but
Yeah.
once it's posted, you could get a better idea of what it's about. But mental illness is such a heavy topic,
Yeah.
all encompassing, I guess, is a good way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
So, were you able to get that phone number
I
for
did.
Fishing
Now,
Has No Boundaries?
people probably in the Hayward area, maybe they're not so confused, but the national office is here in Hayward, but we're going to be talking about the Hayward chapter and their information. So that's 715-634-3185. And I'm not sure if Jenny Overman is still the interim office manager or did they finally get a permanent office manager?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I know Kathy, her mom was in charge of the national office for a long, long
Oh,
time.
okay.
Why don't you give out their website?
Well, it's just simply Fishing Has No Boundaries Inc. So FHNBINC.org, and you just click on chapters. So that's the national website. You can get the chapter information for other chapters in the area, not just Hayward. Excuse me. They have Eagle River, Fond du Lac, and then over in Minnesota, Bemidji and Brainerd, and then several other states that are listed here. Oh, I didn't forget Madison and Milwaukee, and the St. Croix Valley here in Wisconsin are have chapter offices. So, if you do want to get a hold of the national office, their number is 715 634 3185. And again, this is Fishing Has No Boundaries. They have a lot of great um, tools and things that you can use to get people out fishing.
And there are, back to the ramp thing, there are portable ramps that could be used for temporary uses as well. Sometimes they've been loaned out for maybe to attend a certain gathering where there are some steps that it would be difficult to get the wheelchair up, but
Yeah,
maybe like 2 or 3 stairs, but we don't have anything that we could loan out that would go 5 stairs high.
sure.
Even 3 is a little bit much because the longest ramp we have is 12 feet,
Okay, good to know.
but we do have them for loan.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm not sure what else we had. Did we talked about platform lifts? Now, those were the ones that you were talking about outside, right?
Yeah, and they do have them inside as well. They can
Yeah.
be interior or exterior.
Now, have you seen any homes? Now, I'm sure this is very expensive to have these hydraulic elevators, if you will. I know that the old church downtown Hayward, um, up by Fourth Street, they have a little portable elevator lift that goes from the one entry area up to the main level or down to the basement. But these are electronic, railing type of elevators, if you will, because you have to wheel in, close the door, push a button, and it goes up to here. So it's not a totally enclosed elevator that we're all used to in commercial buildings, but I'm not sure if they ever make those for homes and
That is a
if that's
platform.
a
It sounds exactly what
okay.
a platform lift is like. So you can purchase those for your home. They have, of course, these companies do everything up to elevators as well.
Yeah.
They're available, and if you have a 3-story home, that may
Yeah.
be what you need, or maybe look for a different
A
home.
different home might be cheaper.
It just yeah, it just may.
Find that single level rambler house somewhere and
But then again, it's all related to your income level. You
yeah.
know, what's expensive for one isn't expensive for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Well, Don, this has been very informative. I'm going to give people your information. If people want to reach Don Posh, who is an independent living specialist representing Burnett, Washburn, Sawyer, and Price counties, his direct line is 715 919 4932, or you can email him at don at indigowi.org, and that's spelled INDIGO, indigo, wi.org. Very cool. Don, the information. I have another subject that I think we got to talk about for next month, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So,
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mark, and thank.
you have been listening to WOJB, listeners supported community radio from Le Coudray. It is coming up to 9 o'clock. We will join Democracy Now!